pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome to our council meeting. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
One clarification, item 35, new resolution has been put in the packet to reflect the bid results of the bond sale. And then we have an addition, which is number 36, which is adopt resolution 2022-091, setting the final assessment interest rate on the 2022 improvement project.
Okay, noted. Next thing on our agenda is public comments. If anybody has anything they'd like to address us about that's not on the agenda, we'll look at that at this time. Give us your name and address and what you got.
I'm Donna Wombat, and my home address is 3521 Ridgefield Road, Villager, 9-1 Park.
Okay.
And I'm Brittany Nelson, and my address is 4400 County Road 43.
Thank you.
I thought we would come tonight. I spoke with Connie, I assume you're Connie, about 3 weeks back on some issues that were brought to the council, and I just wanted to come tonight and introduce ourselves. Some of us we know well, some we, there's always new faces, and I kind of forget that not everybody's done this for a million years, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to talk with the council about what HEART is, what we do, what we are in the community, and then Brittany, I'm going to tell what we do, and Brittany's going to tell how and why we do things, how we do at HEART. So it might clear up some, questions or whatever that there may be. HEART is the humane society that serves Crow Wing, Aiken, and Southern Cass County. We've been in business since 1987. It's our 35th birthday. My big John, you've been there? He's shaking his head, yeah. Many years. We're contracted with Baxter as well as 11 other municipalities to do impounding for the stray dogs in the area. We're licensed with the Board of Animal Health to house 48 dogs at any given time at our shelter. Our population runs between 10 to 20 dogs. We have 37 kennels, and that's 20 in impound and 17 on the adoption floor. And usually we don't have maybe 3-4 dogs in impound. Last night 4 came in from Brainerd. 2 horrible hound dogs that went home today. I mean, they were just horrible, but so it fluctuates on what we get into the impound, as our population. And like I say, we've been licensed, we're inspected every year, and our license is renewed. We've never had any violations with the Board of Animal Health. We have 6 outdoor kennels that we use for our dogs. We have 6 on the adoption side of things and 4 on the impound side. And at any given time, there's no more than 10 dogs outside, because that's all the kennels we have. And Brittany's going to tell the time that they're out, how we do that and all that. Hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when somebody's at the shelter. We open to the public at 11, but the staff is there at 8. We were open till 5, but we decided to close during the pandemic. We closed at 4 and kind of liked it. The public liked it, so we stayed with that. Mondays and holidays we're there from 8 till 2. And an average of 3 kennel staff work every day, and we're fortunate to have, some of our kennel staff has been there 12 to 15 years. I've been there 35. So, it's not a job, as we all know. It's a passion. So, and HEART is governed by a board of directors, and we have, to try to alleviate some of the barking, we have greatly reduced our time our dogs are outside. We, from 8:30 in the morning, and like I said, Brittany will review some of that, from 8:30 in the morning till probably 10:30, 6 dogs are out in those kennels. We clean kennels, bring those 6 in, put 6 more out. And we average 17 on our adoption floor at most given times. About, how long have you been, 5 years? About 6 years ago, there was not very many dogs to be had in the area. So we maybe had 3, 4 dogs on our adoption floor. And since then, we partnered with some shelters in Alabama. And once a month, we get between 5 and 10 dogs from Alabama that are down there, that they're just so overpopulated. Our barking, like I said, we reduced our time outside, and that's the only time our dogs are outside in those kennels. The rest of the time, they are with either a staff or a volunteer. So, and that's how we have to do things, because the kennels have to be clean. Our windows are kept shut the majority of the time. In the summer, we have to run air conditioners for humidity. Winter, we don't want to heat the outside. So our windows are closed, most of the time. Our barking varies on our number of dogs, of course, and also on our population of dogs. Like I referred to those 2 hound dogs. We can have a group of dogs that aren't real barky, and then we can have some that are just really barky. So it depends on what our population is, on that. Any dog that barks excessively for 5 minutes has it. And that poor soul loses, he has 5 minutes a day outside, except if he's being walked, which it's hard on him. The dogs that come into Heart are throwaway dogs. But it's not, they're strays, they're abandoned, they're abused, they're dogs that nobody wanted. So their manners aren't the best, and they just need a lot of attention. So that's what we're dealing with. Like I say, we have greatly reduced our outside time. We have, Pans Out in the Back volunteers donated about $1,500 kennel for meet and greets when people come to look at a dog. And sometimes those dogs bark out there. We don't let the people out there. They have to come in the building. So it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. It's our business. We're zone commercial there. We've been there for 30 years, and we're a service to the community. So, Brittany?
Yeah, so the reason the dogs, Donna keeps mentioning the 10-minute time, we did a lot of research on cleaning and disinfecting and stuff, and we use, bleach to clean, and bleach right on its website, when it's diluted, it needs at least 10 minutes of contact time to kill any diseases that could be on the surface. So we feed our dogs at 8 to 8:15, with our population fluctuating between that 10 to 17 on the adoption floor. Once they've been fed, the 6 dogs are let out. Their kennels are, taken apart, deep cleaned, we call it. Their walls are scrubbed, floors are scrubbed. It's all bleached. Sits for the 10 minutes, it's rinsed off, dried out, and then reset up. And then that dog comes in, and it just kind of fluctuates. We just roll through the floor, doing it that way. So that's where that 10 minutes keeps coming in. We do, like Donna said, if we see somebody out there just constantly barking, he does get to come in, halfway through his disinfecting time of his kennel and sit in one of the rooms we have in the building. And then sometimes he's leash walked later on, just extra, because we do feel bad for him.
We had one today that's been with us for months. It's about this big, and he had a big mouth, and he got adopted today, which is fantastic.
We were happy to see him go.
E's. Did you notice that?
That one?
They're all E's.
Oh, no, we got
Yeah.
it.
It really just varies. We don't, we're not real picky choosy on who we take anybody, so loud or quiet. But Donna kind of hit everything there. Our kennels that they're turned out in the mornings, they're 10 feet by 4 feet wide, so they don't get to run. It's on cement slab right off the back of our building. They're just out there to clean. Our disease and sickness has been at a minimum with this protocol. It is cut short with winter just because these dogs, a lot of them are from down south, so they're not used to the cold. And even kids that are from here, they're out there. We try to keep them as comfortable as we can, but the 10 minutes is key with the bleach, so that is kind of why the dogs are out there, 10 to 12 minutes per dog on the cement pad. But the routine is the same, no matter how many staff come and go, they're trained in the same, protocol's the same. It has been since I've been there. And I am the shelter supervisor, and I also have a degree as a vet tech.
And we are an open door shelter, is what it's called, We do not turn away any strays. If they're, too sick to heal, too injured to fix, we would euthanize that, but we don't do any euthanization for time, space, any of that. And we take in what a lot of other shelters don't. And it's, the only time we wouldn't take in something is if it's personal. If you have a dog or cat that you call up and say, this just attacked my neighbor, I want you to have it. Well, no, we're not gonna take that in. The liability and the chances of that animal getting adopted are next to none. And, but otherwise we are an open door shelter that we take in. We see lots of animals come through in a year, probably 1,000 or more. And our adoption rate is good.
Hey, council, any questions of them while they're here?
Just comments, Mayor. And I've been associated with HART for a long time, and actually, my service learning program that I put kids out to volunteer in the community for about 12 years, HART was always number one. HART was always the number one
But
selection.
number one, we're voted the best nonprofit in this area. And we are.
And so I visited out there to check on the kids and down at that, and their operation is pristine and well protocol, and just as you explained everything. Now I do have all of us have witnessed or had an experience with a barking dog either next door or next somewhere or whatever, so I understand that aspect as well. But you've always been, in my opinion, handled that nicely, and I hope that gets worked out. I'm sure it will. But I just wanted to have a personal thank you for what you do out there, because it's really important. And I've been able to witness the firsthand, top shelf, classy, filled with integrity operation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks for coming in, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We're still in the public comments section here. If anybody else has anything they'd like to address that's not on the agenda. Okay, seeing nothing, we will move to the consent agenda.
I will say.
Okay.
I didn't come here to speak, only to listen. My name is Judy Zahn, 15410 Delwood Drive. I live behind Hart. They came here and explained what they do. I don't have any issues with what they do. I'm in favor of what they do. And I wasn't in question of how they treat their dogs. It's the noise level at our home and inside our home at times is the reason I came here a couple of weeks ago. So I would like something resolved. And there wasn't any discussion here tonight about moving forward with trying to resolve that. So I hope the council does take that under consideration.
Anybody else? Move forward on the consent agenda. The following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read and passed in one motion. Any council person, staff, citizen, or meeting attendee can request one or more items be pulled from the consent agenda, and the item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the consent agenda. Otherwise, the following items will be passed in one motion. Number 1, approve city council work session minutes from October 4th, 2022. Number 2, approve city council minutes from October 4th, 2022. Number 3, approve the payment of bills and finance report. Number 4, approve the EA minutes from October 4th, 2022. Number 5, approve the transfer of alcohol funds for purchase of evidence shelving. Number 6, approve the transfer of alcohol funds to purchase in-point sites. Number 7, approve the transfer of drug funds for purchase of rifles. Number 8, accept donation from BKC/Petricat Fund for dogs to K9 program. Number 9, approve USICG, formerly Hildy Inc., contract to provide a required OPEB actuarial evaluation study in conjunction with GASB 75. Number 10, elect not to waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by state statutes with the 2023 LMCIT insurance renewal. Number 11, accept utilities commission minutes from October 5th, 2022. Number 12, staff recommends approval of the HR Green Inc. Professional Services Agreement Amendment Number 2 in the amount of $7,380 for the Whiskey Creek Stormwater Project Phase 1 pre-design site investigation. Number 13, approve the R.L. Larson Excavating Inc. change order number 4 in the increased amount of $77,710 for the 2022 Foley Road, Isle Drive, and Fourth and Road Improvements Project. Number 14, approve the Nelson Sanitation Board for sanitary and storm sewer jetting and televising for the 2023 Commercial and Residential Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project. Number 15, approve the Anderson Brothers Construction Partial Pay Estimate Number 1 in the amount of $173,228.35 for the 2022 Trunk Highway 210 and Inglewood Drive Improvements Project. Number 16, approve the R.L. Larson Excavating Inc. Partial Pay Estimate Number 4 in the amount of $633,971.80 for the 2022 Foley Road, Isle Drive, and Fourth and Road Improvements Project. Number 17, approve the Anderson Brothers Construction Company Partial Pay Estimate Number 5 in the amount of $106,378.49 for the 2022 Full Depth Reclamation and Reconstruction Improvements Project. Number 18, accept Nelson Sanitation and Rental Inc. sewer cleaning and televising quote in the amount of $11,625 for the 2023 Cypress Drive and Douglas Fir Drive Improvements Project. Number 19, accept Nelson Sanitation and Rental Inc. sewer cleaning and television quote in the amount of $24,685 for the 2023 Knollwood Drive Improvements Project. Number 20, approve the Whitsitt agreement for the professional engineering services for the lift station number 13 reconstruction in the not to exceed amount of $13,500. Number 21, accept a $500 donation from the Kiwanis Club for the 2022 Children's Triathlon. Number 22, approve the Bill Ladini Appraisals Inc. contract in the amount of $3,500 for 2023 Cypress Drive and Douglas Fir Drive Improvements Project. 23, accept the Blaze Pizza municipal improvements as outlined in the development agreement. Number 24, approve the Nelson Sanitation quote in the amount of $24,685 for sanitary and storm sewer jetting and televising for the 2023 Commercial and Residential Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project. Number 25, authorize contract execution for employee dental insurance renewal with Delta Dental. Number 26, accept the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from October 11th, 2022. Number 27, approve the SEH wetland delineation contract in the not to exceed amount of $6,900 for the 2023 Commercial and Residential Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project. Number 28, approve SEH wetland delineation contract in the amount of $4,600 for the 2023 Cypress Drive and Douglas Fir Drive Improvements Project. Number 29, approve the 2022-2023 annual winter trail and pedestrian ramp closure. Number 30, approve the 2023 delayed payment of tax on special assessment for applicants with eligible hardships. Number 31, adopt resolution 2022-089, approving a conditional use permit to allow a legally non-conforming structure on riparian lot to be enlarged for property located at 14380 Marywood Drive. Number 32, adopt resolution 2022-088, approving a conditional use permit and a variance to allow multi-entrance signage for property located at 13242 Marywood Drive. Number 33, extend limited use agreement with R.L. Larson Excavating to utilize county tax forfeit parcel 400705575 as a storage area for the 2022 Foley Drive, Isle Drive, and Fourth and Road Improvement Projects.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Cross,
Second.
second by Liz Hill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Other business, number 34,
request for a vacation of drainage utility easements, as the mayor indicated. Just wanted to take a minute to show what properties we're talking about here. So just north of Essentia in town, we've got a residential subdivision that hasn't been fully built out. There is a house under construction on this easterly lot of the two that are owned by the same owner. The property owner has requested a lot consolidation of these two lots. Their stated reason to want to consolidate the lots is to optimize the amount and location of garage square footage that they can have on the property. And so in order to consolidate those lots, a vacation of drainage and utility easements are needed for the interior lot line located here, and that's what's being requested this evening. So the request is to open public hearing and then consider resolution 2022-090.
Council, any questions of Josh? We will open the public hearing at 7:20. Anybody here to address this issue? Close it at 7:15. Bring it back to the council, look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Cross, second by Ward. Any further discussion? We should state that for the record, adopt resolution 2022-090. Is that what we're talking about, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Cross, a second by Ward. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 35, adopt resolution 2022-087, approving the issuance and sale of $5,100,000 general obligation improvement bonds, series 2022. Aaron.
Your Honor, Council, today we held the bond sale in conjunction with financing of the 2022 projects and the 2021 projects that we held over from last year. The sale was held at 10 o'clock this morning. We did have 6 bidders on the project, very tight bids, with true interest cost ranging from about 3.4% to 3.64%. The low bid was received by Northland Securities out of Minneapolis, resulting in an assessment interest rate of about 4.9%, just shy of the 5% that we had originally estimated earlier this year for the projects. The bonds were sold at a premium. Typically, we've seen that in the last few years, just given the market that has occurred. A premium of $320,000 did allow us to readjust the size of the bonds, reducing the par amount from the initial $5,100,000 to $4,750,000. In your packet is a revised resolution reflecting the actual sale results and that revision. Coupon rates on those bonds did range from 5% for the first 8 years to 4% for the remaining 4 years of the bonds. It's interesting to note that we were about 5 basis points or 0.05% higher than AAA rating on the upper end of the first front end of those bonds. However, at the tail end, it was a little bit higher at 19 basis points. But what that really shows is the bank qualification, where we're staying under that 10 million, is really helping us. That comparable for a AAA rating wasn't being qualified. They had more than $10 million issued. So really strong interest, I guess, in our bonds, I guess, based on that. So I did include in the packet some of the comments that Moody's did provide on the rating that we had back on October 6th, excuse me. Moody's did reaffirm our AA3 rating, cited our very strong financial position, as well as a modestly sized but expanding tax base. Those strengths were offset a little bit by some of the challenges that we continue to have of an elevated debt burden, as well as high fixed costs, which you typically see with smaller cities. So, with that, I would recommend adopting the revised resolution number 87, approving the issuance of the sale of $4.75 million to Northland Securities of Minneapolis.
Is that number about what you thought it might be, or higher or lower?
I was actually worried it was going to be quite a bit higher because the market has taken off in the last 60 days. We've seen over a percentage increase or 100 basis point increase in rates for that. Just, given what's happening with the Federal Reserve continuing to raise interest rates, it's not really affecting the economy. We're going to still continue to see rates go up quite a bit, probably the first 6 months, next 6 months, and then after that, hopefully they'll start to settle down again next year. But yeah, we kind of squeaked in there, I think.
Good job. Motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cross.
Second.
Second by Lissu. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 36, adopt
Then, as I mentioned, Your Honor and Council, this is related to the actual sale for the 2022 projects. We had estimated an earlier interest rate of 5% for what would be financed over the next 12 years. With the bond sale coming in at about an average of 3.4%, we're able to lower that assessment interest rate to about 4.9% for next year's projects.
Okay, council, any questions on that? Look for a motion.
So
Motion by Ward, second by Lisio. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same side, motion carries. Thanks, Jeremy, for your work there, and your staff. Council comments, Scott?
I have none.
Okay, it's, Mr. Ward?
I have none.
Mr. Cross?
I have none.
I have none. City Administrator?
I have 2 items, Your Honor. First is a recognition that the next budget work session, which was scheduled for Wednesday, November 9th, or 8th or 9th, which day was it?
The 8th.
The 9th. Yeah.
Wednesday was.
Yeah, the day after general election, yep. November 9th, which conflicts with the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting that was pushed because of the general election. State statute doesn't allow us to conduct city business while the polls are open. So therefore, Planning and Zoning gets defaulted to the following business day. That being said, we need to look at a different date for the work session. Staff has talked amongst ourselves and looking at Thursday, November 10th, Monday, November 14th, or Wednesday, November 16th. Those will be separate, or we can, and I think is the preferred of the city staff, is to add it to the regular work session for the meeting on November 15th. So we look for the council as to, preference as to,
You need a motion for that?
no motion.
You just come and do it and make a day of it.
I recommend we move it to the 15th with the other council meeting.
Second.
Okay. We'll look at adding it as an item on the November 15th work session. The other item there is trying to stretch this out a little bit so that the officer can be here, but we do have in attendance with us Frank Scherf, who is a representative from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, who would like to present one of our officers with an award. So with that, I'll give the floor to Chief.
Deserving officer.
Oh, sorry. I'll be in the stand. Taylor's on his way to Sergeant Homerson. You want to tap dance for another minute?
Yeah, well, you usually have plenty to say.
Frank Scherf is our liaison. He works for Department of Public Safety, Office of Traffic Safety, and he's a TZB liaison for Northeast Minnesota. Sergeant Becky Putsky retired from Brainerd, is here Northwest. All right, I'm done. So with that, come on up, Taylor. Sergeant Almerson is here to receive another award, and I'll let Frank explain it.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll skip forward and go past my introduction because the chief did such a great job of that. A lot of people butcher that last name, and I don't know why. It's just like Schmidt, only Scherf, but it happens. I get a lot of it. But so some of you are probably familiar with our TZD, or Towards Zero Deaths program. Baxter has been part of that since the inception, I think, of the old Safe and Sober program back in the 90s. And I'm not going to get into a lot of discussion or information on that. If you have questions about the Towards Zero Deaths, I'll certainly answer them. What this is for tonight is one of the programs that the Office of Traffic Safety does in conjunction with the Minnesota Twins is we do a DWI, or driving while impaired, officer recognition program. So they seek sponsorship. The Twins are very liberal with allowing tickets for the officers. And the nominations come from within that agency. And I believe Assistant Chief Meyer probably made the nomination. It has to come from a supervisor anyway. And Sergeant Halverson was nominated for that recognition. what happens is typically the bats are done, they're engraved, I'll certainly show that to you with the name and the department stuff on them, and they're usually given out at the Twins game. Well, a couple things happened a couple of years ago, which you might remember, some civil unrest in the cities, and the commissioner decided it probably wasn't a great idea to have 100 extra officers walking around with baseball bats in the stadium. And then with supply and demand issues and workforce issues, we're having trouble getting them done in time. So that's why I'm here tonight, just to give the bat to Sergeant Halverson. The big hoopla in this obviously is to get to go to a Twins game and go down on the field and get your picture taken with, I don't know how many other officers were there.
Probably around 50.
Yeah, I think there is quite a few. It's city police, it's county sheriffs, it's state troopers, and it's prosecutors that can get this recognition. So I think it's a fun event for the officers to do that. This is not the first time this has happened for Sergeant Halverson, and I doubt that it's going to be the last. One of the things I'll just leave you with in talking about impaired driving, everything that the Office of Traffic Safety does is data-driven. We know that the majority of people are dying on our roadways from four decisions or consequences. It's impaired driving, speeding, distracted driving, and not wearing your seatbelt and being involved in a crash. So it isn't just by chance that we do come up with these things. They're done for a reason. But the main thing that I like to tell people is for every person, and it's kind of a harsh way to say it, but for every person that gets arrested and thrown in jail, there's a potential life-saving event. And so for the whole year of 2021, I believe Sergeant Halverson had 43, if I remember right. Yeah, he does so many of them, he's lost track. But that's a substantial amount of work for one officer to do. So to think that there's a possibility of 43 people that are still alive, and that can be the offender, or it can be one of you or one of your loved ones. So it's a huge thing. It's something that we don't take lightly. And so tonight we're just here to congratulate him and wish that you would, everyone give him a round of applause and shake a few hands and get a picture. That'd be great. Sergeant Taylor Halverson, number 465, 2022 All-Star DWI Enforcer. There you are. And you get a hat and pin too.
What do you want us to do here?
You want to phone walk, Kelly, can you take the phone?
Do what now?
Phone walk in front of you.
Have you walk? Congratulations.
Thank you. You want everyone down there, Kelly? Or?
Whatever you want.
All council.
A minimum of 43 lives saved.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Right. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. You bet.
Scared me when you came with a bat. Start.